Hey yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Aaron Shu. I love making videos and content that mainly talks about disability. There's something that happened a few weeks ago that I just thought I would share with you and highlight a few points that I think are important from that story or from that experience. So this other day, I was thinking of going into town to open a bank account. I went with my caregiver. So we get there, there were already a few people ahead of us in the queue. So, of course, we got into line and waited our turn to get in. So, the security guard walks up to us and he starts asking us a dozen questions. Well, initially, I thought, no, this guy is just being friendly because I had noticed that for everyone else, he wasn't asking anybody anything. He was simply just ushering them in, opening the door, closing the doors, and scanning people, stuff like that. But when it was our turn, he started asking us all these kind of questions. And I told him that I wanted to open a bank account. And he was like, "Oh, you have got the necessary documents?" I said, "Yes, we do." So after 4 or 5 minutes of answering some really random questions, it was like, so is this guy, pointing to my caregiver, is he gonna go inside and open the bank account for you? I said, actually, I would prefer to do it myself, and I also have a few questions that I want to ask the guys inside. Eventually, he opens the door for us. Immediately, as we were getting in, we noticed there was a problem. My wheelchair and the foot stands couldn't fit into that small space. It was really small, and my foot stands were protruding out, so we could neither close the door behind me or open the one in front of me. So there was no way of accessing the bank. The security guy goes like, "Well, unfortunately, you can't get in like you saw. So, your friend here is gonna have to go inside and do your business on your behalf." And I was like, okay, but can the personal banker come outside and chat with me at least so I can ask a few questions that I need? I really wasn't for the idea of someone else opening up my bank account because it's personal and that's not what he was there for. And I'm capable of opening my own bank account and I should be able to do that. My caregiver goes in just to sort of like assess the situation. I stay behind, so I was just waiting just by the door and I sat there for almost 30 or 40 minutes. And I was texting with my caregiver. I was inside and I was asking him, "Hey, you've been gone for a minute. What's going on?" And was like, "Oh no, they are trying to look for the manager, so that we could talk to him about trying to get in, to see if they can open the other door." Eventually, the door opens and my caregiver comes back with this guy that I presumed to be the manager. I was like, "What's the problem?" And I basically told him everything that was going on. After a few minutes of explaining everything, the bank manager eventually says, "Well, there is a way for you to access our premises, but we would have to switch off our system first so that we'll be able to open the doors manually. And after you are in, then we have to switch it back on. And it will take about 3 or 4 minutes for the system to be up and running again." And we are in the middle of serving people right now, so maybe you could wait a little bit, and then after we are done, we can let you in. At this point, I had been waiting outside for almost like 2.5 hours, which is a really long time, and I was starting to feel uncomfortable and all that. But being a fairly reasonable person, at least I'd like to think I am, I said, "It's okay. I don't mind waiting for a few more minutes, so that you can do whatever you need to do so I can get the service that I need." And with that, the bank manager left. He went back inside and he also signaled to my caregiver to follow him. He was like, "I'll just go in with this guy so we can start to look at your papers and stuff." I was like, "Okay, it's all right, no problem." And I thought I was going to wait for maybe 10, 12 minutes. Yeah, it didn't happen. and I should have known better. I ended up waiting for another full hour. They eventually switched off the system and they opened the door manually, and finally I got into the bank. And I went straight to the personal banker who was already looking through my papers at that point. So I said, hello. He had that, that deer in headlights kind of look. Like it looked like he'd never seen someone with a disability before. Trust me, I know it probably sounds a little bit dramatic, but I'm used to it. Sometimes people's perception of disability is just twisted like that. And then the guy starts asking the regular questions that you'd expect if you're opening a bank account. And it's like, what is his full name? And he immediately looks at my caregiver. And at this point, this guy had heard me engaging in a conversation with my caregiver, so he knew I could converse. But still, he wouldn't talk to me directly. He started asking my caregiver questions like, what's his full name? What's his age? And my caregiver is like, it's his account. You can talk to him and ask him all your questions. He will answer you. And you'd think someone would be reasonable enough to adjust their attitude or become at least self-aware enough to see that, oops, I was addressing my questions to, I was skipping over the real person I should be talking to talk to someone else. But no, this guy decided to go in the other direction. He totally ignored my caregiver and he kept on asking, full name please? And he would look at my caregiver like this, and I was like, okay, let me jump in front of the situation and said, my name is Aaron, blah, blah, blah. And he says, spelling? And he looks at my caregiver again. And I spell my name for him. And it's like, age. And this guy was literally ignoring me. And when I say he was ignoring me, I mean he was ignoring me. He was skipping right over me and addressing all the questions to my caregiver. And my caregiver noticed the situation and then he walked away. And now this guy had no option but to engage in a conversation with me. I would respond to his questions and he would look at me like he was looking at a mythical creature from an alternate universe. And then it's like, oh, your account is ready. And then he signals to my caregiver, he's like, come over here. And starts to talk to my caregiver again. Okay, so this is the card that is going to have to use for this and that. My caregiver, once again, is like, talk to him. And this guy ignored him yet again. And kept on saying, okay, so I will need you to put a passcode. And I said to him, I will do it myself. And I was like, okay. Do you know how to write? Sir? And I was thinking, what is it exactly about me that makes you think I can't write? If I didn't know how to write, I would have told you, and I would have had someone help me with that. I know that a lot of people assume that people with disabilities are not intelligent, we can't think for ourselves, we can't make our own decisions, we need other people to think on our behalf, and it's not really like that. I was just like, you know what, Aaron, you came here to get a new bank account, just get it and walk out. Honestly speaking, I didn't enjoy that experience at all. And had there be any other alternative, if there was a bank that was offering similar services and was also accessible, I would have left because I spent in total just over 4 hours at this bank. Something that was supposed to take just 30 minutes maximum ended up taking me a whole 4 hours. I just wanted to go back home and forget I had ever gone through that. So, what is the moral of the story? Sometimes as people with disabilities, we go through a lot of disrespect. And this disrespect and disregard comes from the fact that there are a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions and assumptions out there about the disabled community that are really not true at all. You don't need a special way of engaging in conversations with people who have disabilities. You just need to remember that you are talking to a fellow human being. The same applies to people with disabilities. And just because I have a disability, it doesn't mean that I'm any lesser intelligent than somebody who doesn't have one. It doesn't work that way. And these stereotypes and misconceptions really make our lives a living hell. If you enjoyed this video or found any kind of value from it, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel.